Shutter Sock Music.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Black College Experience. I am Derek Thomas out of the Valley, and I have with me none other than the queen of Black College Experience, Diva Kels. How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing great. Just awesome weekend of HBCU athletic competition. I know you're on your way back home. You had an awesome weekend, homecoming weekend at Alabama A&M, correct?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Alabama A&M showed me a wonderful time. Very, very, very great turnout as far as the crowd, the tailgating experience. It was even more people this year at homecoming than it was last year. So really good experience once again, tailgating experience. And, of course, they did seal the deal. They did get the W, 27-14. But we'll get into that a little later on into the show, as we do have a former Bulldog that will be joining us today, Byron Wilson. So we'll get into that a little later.
Yes, indeed. That'll be awesome to have Mr. Wilson on, and get a chance to see what he thought about his team's victory on homecoming Saturday. But before we get started, there is a band competition in New Orleans, and it created quite a buzz on social media with different bands going at each other on social media. The Crank Fest 2017 is going on right now in New Orleans at Tad Gormley Stadium, and when you put all those bands together, you're bound to get some awesome competition. It's just awesome to see these bands coming together. A lot of SWAC bands, Talladega, Southern, Jackson State. It's just going to be awesome to see. We're gonna have to see. I'm gonna have to see videos because, of course, I didn't go to the Crank Fest. But it's just awesome because we all know what HBCU bands mean to HBCU students and their importance to our atmosphere, Kels.
Correct. And I was watching some of the live footage, and I think at that point I was catching Jackson State. And of course, I had to cut the footage, but Southern was getting ready to come in. The jukebox was getting ready to come in, and the Sonic Boom had already come in, and Sounds of Dynamite had come in, and then, of course, Talladega had come in as well. So anytime we get events like this, and we all know, band head or not, I can't say this enough, a band and a football team is like a married couple. They go hand in hand. So they pretty much feed off of each other, but anytime when you have these type of events, I think it creates a very high morale, and we really need to support these events. And looking at that crowd, it was a really nice crowd out there on a Sunday in New Orleans. So props out to everybody that got out and wanted to hear the world-renowned Human Jukebox, SOD, the Sonic Boom of the South, and Talladega. It's good when you can bring four bands together and create an atmosphere that everybody can agree on and appreciate and say, hey, okay, this is something that's musically inclined. So, it's very exciting, and I'm just hoping that it turns out, it's the first of many.
Right. Yeah, I think it's the second annual. They had one last year, so I'm gonna have to make it down there one year to check it out. Perhaps give some live coverage for Black College Experience. But moving right along. We all know our HBCUs like to celebrate year in and year out with homecoming. But 9 HBCUs have come together to celebrate over 150 years of Black excellence. The universities are, Alabama State, Morehouse. Where's it at? It's called the HBCU 9's official 150-year celebration. That's Alabama State, Barbara Scotia College, Fayetteville State University, Howard University, Johnson C. Smith University, Morehouse College, Morgan State University, St. Augustine University, and Talladega College are celebrating their sequential milestone as HBCUs across the nations seek ways to thrive in the 21st century American education. That is awesome, Kels. I mean, when you have HBCUs, as you know, we've been coming under, fire for years, trying to close us down. trying to say that we're vital to the community, and year in and year out for 150 years, these schools have been proven that HBCUs are a vital cog in the community. They do produce leaders. They do produce individuals
Right.
who can excel in the world, who can create. We talked about last week about Lyft with the automated cars targeting HBCU grads. So, HBCUs are here to stay. So, congratulations to these 9 universities for doing something together, Kels.
Right. And I think that's a really positive thing. When you look at 150 years, that's a long time to withhold, to stand up, stand out, and to create excellence. And again, I mean, I can take you back to February when Morehouse celebrated 150 years. And for people that don't know, Morehouse, they create a whole nother type of response. Like it's a whole nother standard when it comes to Morehouse, and they're held to a higher standard. They really do, and they exceed that standard. But just to be in the midst of so many prominent people in Atlanta, to be in the mix of so many African American, both male and female, well, it's a male college, but being that it's across the board, that you have so many different things, administration, presidents, different things that are working hand in hand with that school. It's just so great to see. First and foremost, so many African American males that have chosen that school for education, to see them actually come out and graduate does something for the heart, especially when the odds are against black men. You're not supposed to graduate. You're supposed to be dead. You're not supposed to go to college. You're supposed to be in jail. You're supposed to be, leaving someone pregnant as a single mother. So when you get those kind of things, and you have so many men or so many people that actually go on and complete the mark and go on to college, and you have those schools, like you said, they've been trying to close us forever and a day, but we still thrive, we still stand. And that leads me right into one of the things that I don't think I can say this enough times, and sometimes people hear me and sometimes people don't. Morris Brown is the epitome of what you do not want to happen to the HBCU.
That's correct.
And, it's a sad situation as to what Morris Brown has fallen into. And once again, being in Atlanta, it's a key component of history. It's something that you don't want to forget. It's something that you don't want to let go. It's something you don't want to close away. It's a chapter that you don't want to dissolve, because once it's gone, it's gone. Exactly. And it's kind of like erasing history. And, again, Wednesday night I had the opportunity to actually just pass by, and I saw a hall, and just walking by, seeing things boarded up. And
I know it probably broke your heart.
Seeing the state that school was in, and just knowing that it used to be another place, just knowing it was something else, is every single time looking at it, seeing it, talking about it, just understanding it, just getting the history behind tears in my eyes. Because in my eyes, people just don't care. If they can erase the history to it, they'll try, they'll do it. And the sad thing is so many people don't care about it.
Right.
But it's still a part of history, and it was rich history, and it was very, 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 at a point, it was so prominent. It was just one of those, it's so much history behind it. And I tell people, if you don't know about Morris Brown, I challenge you to do research on the school, on the church. I challenge you to understand and realize where a lot of people that came out of HBCUs or came out of Atlanta went to. If you weren't at a Spelman, you weren't always at a Spelman or a Morehouse or a Clark, you had your Morris Brown as well. So, that's just one of those schools you just don't want to see yourself in that same situation. But again, I challenge people to do the research, find out about Morris Brown, because with their homecoming coming up, we're going to have 2 guests at the same time that actually played for the Morris Brown football team.
Wow,
had a guy
awesome.
that was a drum major for Morris Brown. So I was like, it's always when you can bring, when people try to erase history, you have to try to preserve it. You have to try to keep it. So when I find the people, I'm like, all right, this is the thing. So that's what's going on there.
Right, and yeah, it's sad to say, the few times that I have been to Atlanta, I never got a chance to visit the campus of any of the HBCUs there. So I'm gonna miss out on. I've already missed out on some history. So the next time I do come to Atlanta, I'm gonna have to make it my personal business to visit some of the HBCU campuses in the Atlanta area. So it's just everyone who knows you knows how passionate you are about HBCU. So just listening to you talk about the historical significance of Morris Brown, um, I mean, it's just awesome, you know. But moving right along, Chaos told me about this today. In November, there's going to be the first annual HBCU All College Showcase Baseball Camp, powered by the Pro Youth Foundation. The camp will be Saturday, November 4th, 2017 at 9 a.m. Check-in will begin at 8:15 a.m. And unfortunately, you can't register anymore because the camp is full and closed. It will be held at Reading High School with select player games played after. And the colleges that are committed are Lane College, Jackson State University, Alabama State University, Southern University, Stillman College, Kentucky State University, Claflin University, Coppin State University, North Carolina Central, Payne College, Florida State College, Jacksonville, Florida A&M University, Selma University, Voorhees College, Lamar Owen College, Savannah State University, Benedict, Clark, Atlanta, Prolific Postgrad Academy, and Alcorn State University. The players will get instruction from Major League scouts and former Major League players. It kind of mimics the NBA camp that the SIAC and the SWAC had earlier this year. And it's good to see that scouts and Major League Baseball or minor league baseball or any type of professional baseball scouts are taking an interest in our HBCU players because it's an unmined resource. I mean, you don't have many HBCU players make it to the majors. Some of them go on to long careers in minor league or go overseas to play, but they have the talent to play in the majors just like the other schools do. So it's good to see that the young men will be able to have this opportunity to showcase their skills and get noticed skills.
Right. And I think one of the exciting things for me is when we have these situations, when we have these, when we have these showcases, when we have these bowl games, the thing that's so exciting for me, case in point, the same thing that happened when they had tennis about 2 weeks ago, it's right here in the heart of Atlanta. So being that it's here in Atlanta, I can just hop over and go over to Redan High School, which is in Stone Mountain, and, get the opportunity to see what they're doing, to see what it's like, to see, to get to meet some of those scouts, meet some of those kids, and, get familiar with some of those people, as well as try, get interviews or whatever. And like I said, again, it's like you said, it's an untapped resource.
Exactly.
And it's good when you can actually get those scouts out there. And this is one of the things I keep feeding into people. When people don't know, they can't do. So as soon as we find out, now this information, now we know it way in advance. So when people know, this gives them an opportunity to say, hey, I can go, I can try, I can commit. This puts you on a stage where you're actually able to talk to a scout and do whatever you need to do to showcase your talent in the event that you're trying to go to the next level. So I think it's really good when you give the HBCUs a stage and a platform to showcase their talent just like any other division or any other school. I think it's a good thing when you're actually, and then it's so many schools that you named off that are committed to.
Right.
It's so many schools. So you have all of the all major, like every school seems to be committed to it. So I think it's a good thing. And then you get a chance again to meet coaches and people that's coming out to see what's going on. And that, it's talent. It's talented HBCU. So great thing, very great thing. And I just hope that we take advantage of this.
And I'm surprised that Winston-Salem State is not in this because going over the list, I don't see any CIAA squads. All three other major HBCU conferences and also private and NAIA schools are represented. But we all know Winston-Salem State has a dominant baseball team. But I think it would have been good for them to participate because they are a dominant baseball team in the HBCU baseball world. But hey, maybe they'll get in the next one. So, but congratulations to the schools that will be there, Kels. Because I didn't know about this until you told me. So I was like, wow, this is awesome. So hopefully some young man from these HBCU squads will make it to the major leagues and break some records.
That's it. That's it.
All right,
Let's go ahead and take a commercial break right at this moment before we get back into this.
All right, so we'll be right back after this 30-second commercial break.
I already knew that I was going to go to college, from a young age. I definitely want to major in political science. After that, I'm going to get my law degree. Then I'm going to come back to Detroit, boost the economy, become the mayor or something, try to make the situation better for other people. I feel like I owe it to the city. I'm determined. It's gonna happen. My name is Justin, and I am your dividend.
All right, we're back with Black College Experience. And, Kels, you ready to go over the scores in football?
Let's do it.
All right. We had some interesting games this week. We had a few games interconference, the SWAC versus the SIAC. And first up is the Grambling State Tigers versus Clark Atlanta. Interesting enough, Hickenbottom started this game. Devontae Kincaid came off the bench to spark the Grambling Tigers to a 31-20 victory over Clark Atlanta. I heard that Kincaid was a little nicked up against my Delta Devils, but Hickenbottom was injured himself, so Kincaid had to come off the bench, something he hasn't done in a while, to lead Grambling to victory. We all know. I mean, if Hickenbottom had a successful game, Grambling just has two capable quarterbacks. So you knew if Devontae Kincaid had to play, that it was still going to spell trouble for whoever Grambling was playing. But he led his team to victory. What do you think about this, Kels? What do you think about Grambling kind of squeaking past Clark?
Well, I think this is one of the things that we it's still, you get into SWAC play, and 31-20 is a lot of penalties, a lot of mistakes. And I think one of the things, and this is not just Grambling, I think one of the things that we need to stop doing is making excuses saying that everybody's injured. We got to stop using injuries as an excuse. When you have that many penalties and that type of thing on the ground, you have to do what you got to do. But the great thing is that they were able to come off of this. They were able to secure the W for themselves and move on to Prairie View coming up this week. Now, it's going to be a little bit tougher going against a Simmons team. Third year for Coach Simmons. So it's going to be a little bit tougher for them coming in. But again, they did secure the W, and I think it's a lot of things that they're going to have to work on again. Mainly penalties. Going to have to work on those penalties.
Right. So, and the second interconference matchup matched your Jaguars of Stone University versus Fort Valley State. And interesting game here. I attended the game, and Southern jumped out to a 21-7 lead. And QB7, the birthday boy, I don't know if he sustained aggravated his injury, but Coach Oldham took him out, and the backup quarterback came in, John Lampley, and luckily for Southern, Austin Howard was able to lead his team to enough points to where they were able to defeat Fort Valley State, but John Lampley led the offense to score 10 points, including a thrilling 25-yard run to cap off scoring in the fourth quarter. Southern defeats Fort Valley State 31-14. Herb Edwards had over 150 yards rushing. Our Black College Experience alum Aaron Tiller had 3 sacks. 3 sacks in this game. I mean, he was a terror in that Fort Valley State backfield. And I recognize the name of the quarterback that's playing for Fort Valley State. He played for my Delta Devils last year. And he also was the SIAC Offensive Player of the Week last week. So, Southern's defense straight shut Fort Valley State down. Danny Johnson had a thrilling punt return for a touchdown. I caught the tail end of it on video. I'm going to post it. But I wish I could have caught the whole video. It was beautiful how Danny just evaded tacklers and ran the punt back to put Southern up. It was an awesome sight to see. Coach Odom, of course, wasn't happy with the penalties because even with Austin Howard on the bench, the Southern Jaguars were able to sustain their lead and keep Fort Valley State from coming back. So your Jags played a well-rounded game. But hey, I know you're ready for next week. Next week is your homecoming. So Kels will be visiting Baton Rouge for homecoming on the Bluff.
Coming in, I still think as we're still continuing to gel as this young Jaguar, veteran Jaguar team, we lost some talent as well, and I think one of the things as well as I spoke on Grambling, Southern has got to learn how to control the penalties. The key here this weekend is that you got to control the penalties and you can't turn over the ball. So, and I did. I got a chance to, tell Aaron congratulations. I saw it. He's out there. I was like, you out there doing your thing. So, yeah, we have to control the penalties. One thing I can say is that last week it looks like we did make the necessary adjustments. But the thing is that someone made a point. The game should never be in question, and you don't want to get it where you got somebody down 21 points and they're able to get back in the game and they make it a game or a one-score game, or they come up and win. So, yeah, this week it's going to be one of those things that we're going to have to put our foot on the gas and keep pressing as Alabama A&M comes in. I had a chance to go out yesterday, cover Alabama A&M and Pine Bluff. Again, they walked away with a 27-14 lead. This kid, Aquil Glass, true freshman quarterback, is really running. He's really running the show.
He's doing
his thing. And this year, Alabama A&M has a line. They have receivers. So they're doing their thing out here at Alabama A&M. Now, we can look at a winless. That was a winless Texas Southern team. And then we have Pine Bluff. Now, even with the struggles of Southern University is not Texas Southern, and they're not Pine Bluff. So it's going to be a good game this weekend to see who walks away, to see if Alabama A&M comes into Mumford Stadium and upset us on homecoming weekend, or will the Jags do as we say, chop wood, carry water, and walk away with the W? So I'm hoping for the W on this side.
Well, we know
because I can't hear my sister's mouth.
We know one school got upset on homecoming in Baton Rouge. We're not going to wish another university in Baton Rouge to get upset on homecoming. But, Kels, we have a caller on the line. We have a caller. Caller, area code 662. Familiar area code for me. Last 4, 7477. Who do we have on Black College Experience?
Oh, this is Patrick, Mississippi.
Patrick Perry?
Yeah, this is Patrick Perry.
What's going on, LB? Kels, that's my line brother.
I know he wants to talk about Valley. I enjoy his commentary, so let's get it. Let's hear
What's
it.
going on, LB?
He has some prominent points. He has some good points.
Well, our Delta Devils went on the road this weekend and played Charleston Southern, and we were in the game closely. 10-7 at halftime.
I saw it 7-7.
10-7 at halftime, and after halftime, I don't think we came out the locker room. 58-7 was the final score. LB, go ahead and speak on that.
I think it was Comedy being Comedy approaching non-conference schedules as far as basically scrimmages. Because when I saw the score. It was 7-7, tied up. I was kind of shocked, being honest. I think Comedy stuck with Fowler for most of the first half, and he went 19 for 24. For like 100 and some yards in the first half. Just a true freshman. Like, if Glass kind of slips up as far as that is concerned, Fowler's going to be the freshman of the year in the SWAC, because how many freshmen are completing almost 10% of their passes? and only have one turnover, interception.
Well, LB, I understand we want to be loyal to our Delta Devils, but Glass has wins along with his stats, and we haven't gotten any wins.
Yes, in the schedule. I mean, we played our last money game, so now we got UAPB and then Alabama A&M, then basically got a scrimmage against Lynchburg. So he's gonna have his chance to put the stats up. I mean, he put up over 300 yards against a good Southern Illinois team, and then he put up over 300 yards. No, he had over 300 yards against Grambling, and then he had like a 67% completion percentage against Southern Illinois, and basically like a quarter and a half. So,
well, we all know Coach Cummings has the ability to coach a winning team. It hasn't happened for him yet in the Itta Bena. Hopefully, Fowler can start something anew in Itta Bena. Continue to recruit. We don't recruit at the highest level that we would like to, but it seems like Cummings may have found something with this quarterback. And the Betts kid from Memphis, he was pretty good coming in as a true freshman, but he hasn't been able to get on the field, right, Pat?
Yeah, he went 6 for 8. He scored the touchdown yesterday.
So we got two true freshman quarterbacks playing for Valley. The future looks bright.
We all know this is Cummings' last year as far as going into a contract. So even if he doesn't make it through next season, the next coach that comes in got
Booker will be a
freshman
junior.
Quarterback.
Booker will be a junior, so he'll be back.
Who?
Booker Chambers.
Oh yeah, I'm talking about quarterback. Yeah, we got two freshmen at quarterback. Chambers is a junior. Mikael Fresh is a junior. Harper is a junior. That's a pretty solid receiving core as far as the SWAC is concerned. So,
right. But
I'm not giving up on this season yet. I mean, we only 0-1 in the SWAC. We beat UAPB. Hey,
right.
We right back in the hot. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And to continue with the rest of our SWAC scores this week, LB and Keisha, Prairie View laid the smackdown on Jackson State, 38-9. After giving Grambling fits and then faltering late, Jackson State was never in this game. When I first looked at the score, it was 31-3. And I know Ashley, the AD of Prairie View, must be smiling because he's from Jackson, to put the shellacking on his hometown team that way. Kels, what do you think about this whooping that Prairie View put on Jackson State?
It goes without saying, we're in this case, it's really not even about gender. This here is just a terrible loss. And I'm gonna say, as the week continue to turn, with looking at Tony Hughes and these Tigers, you try to give them a pass, but we all know even if we're giving them a pass, this alumni is not going to back this decision right now. And there's been so many people calling for his termination. The Tigers they are really cutthroat. They're at the door waiting on this termination. So, week to week to week, it's just not getting any better. And who would have thought that Jackson State would be in the situation that they're in? But when you come off an opponent like Grambling, and then you go into another opponent with Prairie View, it's just not a good thing. And then I think it's a battle out between Alabama State and Jackson State to see who's going to do what first, because it's just not pretty in Mississippi, and it's not pretty in Montgomery.
Well, Alcorn would beg to differ. They did defeat Texas Southern 24-17 on Friday night. So right now, the East looks like it's Alcorn's to win. We all know the football games have to be played on a 100-yard field. Jackson State could potentially, because we know Jackson State's young. you got a lot of freshmen and sophomores that are playing.
Right.
I think Coach Hughes will eventually get Jackson State on, righted, but will he have time? I mean, to lose like they lost to Prairie View. Here's the thing: alums and fans, they can take losses better if it's a competitive loss. But a defeat like this to Prairie View, a team that you could potentially see in the SWAC championship game if you get there. Let's say Alcorn falters, Alabama A&M falters, and lo and behold, Jackson State wins every game in the SWAC East against everybody else except for my Delta Devils. They're gonna take that L. They could be representing the SWAC East against Grambling, Southern, or Prairie View. 3 teams that have dominant offense. Jackson State has already lost to 2. October 21st, they will play Southern. So if Jackson State were to be the representative of the SWAC East, they could have losses to all 3 contenders in the West. And that doesn't bode well for the Tigers' chances in a second game against either one of those teams. Pat, what you think about Jackson State's egg they laid?
I think you said October 21st. I think we're the week before that. I think it's the week before that.
No, Jukebox is
the 15th. I want to say it's the 15th weekend.
I think
or so I thought. Maybe I'm off by a week. Maybe I'm too early.
Yes, it's Saturday, October 21st in Jackson, Mississippi.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's the weekend that we're having the tailgate. So, LB, what do you think about that game? Jackson State's egg that they laid against Prairie View.
I think many people. What is it? On who did Prairie View play before they played? The team that they basically laid down for. Was it McNeese? I think it was McNeese.
No, that was Alcorn that played McNeese. They played Sam Houston.
They played them well.
They did. They played them really well.
But then they came back and laid an egg. Well, I think many people.
They played Alabama State. They played Alabama State, I believe.
Yeah, but they played another school, Prairie View, and I can't remember who it was, but they laid it. They looked bad in that game. And I think many people took that game and thought that Jackson State had a chance because they played Grambling well. But then we know what happened with UAPB and made them look bad. So
that was Nicholls State that Prairie View took that L to.
Nicholls State, yeah. And Nicholls State, I mean, they're not Sam Houston State, so I think many people thought that Prairie View had a chance against them, but they just came out flat for the whole game against them. So many people thought that, if Jackson State played consistently, played decent at QB, their defense would give Prairie View some problems, and Prairie View wasn't having any of that. So, I mean, when you look at this, UAPB was the worst team on their schedule that you thought they probably would beat. Who are they going to beat before they play us? When you look at their schedule.
Talking about Jackson State?
Yeah.
Well, judging by their performance on the field, nobody. So,
yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I've been knowing Coach Hughes since I was in high school. Being that he is coaching the Jackson State Tigers, I would love to see him do well, but he needs to get together quick and fast. It's hard for me to root for Alcorn because but Jackson State needs to get it in gear. I mean, you can't keep having pitiful outings like this. You have a awesome game against Tennessee State, barely lose that game, come back, get blown out the next game, play Grambling tough, and then come back and you get blown out by Prairie View. I mean, when you see improvement week to week, that's what fans want to see. They want to see improvement week to week to week. And Jackson State just hasn't been doing that on a consistent basis.
And that's it. They're not consistent. That's the thing. You're not consistent. And I think that's when you say, will they have time? I think that's where they're getting frustrated. And I think if you can't be consistent and you can't get people to buy into that, okay, I'm trying to get time to gel this young team that I have a freshman. Because let's be honest, his recruiting class he recruited really well, but now it's like, how do you gel and put it all together? And I think that's the issue right now.
Well, I mean, like you said, yes, he has recruited very well, but those young men are freshmen and sophomores going up against battle-tested senior and junior-laden football teams with their own mix of talented freshmen and sophomores. We can't say that freshmen can't perform in the SWAC. Look at Lakia Glass. Look at Austin Howard 4 years ago. If you come in as a freshman, if you can play football, you can play football. But you do have to understand that there's an opponent across from you trying to stop you from being able to be successful. So if Jackson State is able to get back to his winning ways, I would like to see it come on the Hughes, beating everybody but my Delta Devils. I just don't know if they're going to give him time. From every Jackson State alum that I've talked to and what I've seen on social media, they're ready for him to be gone. I've seen memes talking about, hey, Valley, this is Jackson State. We're calling for Cummings. They want Cummings back because Cummings won them their last championship. When Cummings was let go, that was after a winning season, So
yeah,
they want the coach that had them winning last back. Yeah, after Cummings, you have the legend Harold Jackson. Then after Harold Jackson, you have Coach Tony Hughes. And I don't necessarily know if Cummings would go back to Jackson State if they wanted him back. What do you all think? If Jackson State decide to let go of Tony Hughes, do you think the new president, who was our former president Pat, would hire Cummings back as the Jackson State head coach?
Money is
well, he has more money to pay him.
Money, but he would make twice as much he would at Jackson State he would at Valley. And it is a new administration. He's not going to be dealing with the same
that he knows.
Yeah.
So Jackson State just want to steal everything from us. Every time we get something good, here comes Jackson State Tiger trying to take it back. Kels, what do you think? Do you think Cummings would go back to Jackson State if Jackson State offered him the job?
We first have to start from the basis. The basis is that you were gone because of, a personal vendetta. Let's start there. So in this case, I'm not really sure what the relationship was, even if it's somebody sometimes it's kind of hard to get past something that someone has done to you. Let's just say that they just, I know it wasn't that person that let him go, but I'm not sure that he would go back. Like that's kind of like I'm really not sure what the answer would be type of thing, because I think it would depend on multiple factors.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so we're at the end of our.
And it's like you said, we already know that the money situation. We already know that he'll make twice as much as he will make at Valley, but then you get into, okay, well, would you be happy? Is this where you want to go? Because in hindsight, you're not producing over at Valley. So
no one has really produced at Valley.
If you can be productive and go over to Jackson State, would you go back? Is the question. And I think, in hindsight, I think he could, but would he? I don't know.
Well, when he came in after Bell, he did well. Won SWAC championship, competed for another. Like you said, he was let go because of personal issues with the president of Jackson State. And subsequently went to Valley and defeated Jackson State that next year, which I'm still happy about. Can't wait to see it happen again. Hope it happens this year. I always thought Cummings would go back to Tuskegee. That's where he built his reputation. But Tuskegee has a good coach who's now the athletic director there. If he or whatever gets tired of being a football coach, he may try to get Cummings to come home. All I know is Cummings is a good coach. I have some issues with him myself. As far as how he dealt with a player that I know. But overall, he is a good coach and a good man. I think he's in a situation at my alma mater where he does not have the resources to build a winning program. And when you don't have the resources to build what you want to build, it can be quite frustrating. He does have some pieces there now. Will he be there when they come to fruition? I don't know. I mean, but moving right along, that's the end of our SWAC football score update. We're going to jump over to the MEAC. And the MEAC had two games on yesterday. North Carolina A&T defeated South Carolina State 21-7. Bethune-Cookman defeated Savannah State 24-12. And on Thursday, North Carolina Central defeated Florida A&M 21-14. And the MEAC right now is being led, of course, like it has been the past 2 years, by the North Carolina teams. North Carolina A&T sits at 5-0 undefeated, 2-0 in the MEAC. North Carolina Central sits at 2-0. Hampton, Howard, and Norfolk State all are at 1-0 in the MEAC. Florida A&M is 1-1, Bethune-Cookman 1-1, Morgan State 0-1, and South Carolina State sitting at 0-2. Delaware State and Savannah State also at 0-2. Kels, what do you think about this North Carolina A&T team? Do you think even without
like I told you before, it's gonna be a shootout between North Carolina A&T and NCCU. What happens is last year Central kind of slipped by, and it was kind of last moment where North Carolina A&T took their foot off the brake. They had a lot of penalties, a lot of things that they done in that last game, which is one of the determining factors. But I think it's gonna be a hard road between the two of them. And we look at it because you have a North Carolina A&T team minus Tariq Cohen. So to say that they're still doing what they need to do and they're 5-0 right now without Tariq is pretty remarkable. But we can look at a North Carolina Central played Florida A&M on Thursday, and you said double digits. By the time I got back to watch it, it was 14-14, which of course Central walked away with the win, 21-14. And I was thinking that game was going to be so much higher. I mean, too. It got to be a defensive battle. But that 21, nobody could capitalize and get into that end zone. It seems like over and over again, which again, Central ended up winning the game, but it didn't come out how I predicted. What do y'all think about that game?
I predicted for North Carolina Central to win by 21 points. Boy, did Florida A&M prove me to be a liar. But like I always say, the game has to be played on a 100-yard football field, not in my prediction. So it was good to see the Florida A&M fight. No one probably thought that they would compete with North Carolina Central. But Florida A&M is a scrappy team. They have had a difficult schedule, getting blown out by Miami, getting blown out by Arkansas. I mean, they want to say they don't want to just let the North Carolinas rule the MEAC, because back in the day, the Rattlers ruled the MEAC. So if they want to get back to their rightful place, you have to excuse my little ruling tones. I've been watching Game of Thrones, and everyone knows that's about kings battling for crowns and thrones, and the Rattlers want their throne back. They want their MEAC throne back. So you gotta have to give some respect to those Rattlers, even though they're in a losing effort. They weren't just going to let North Carolina Central run them over. What do you think, Pat?
I think they're probably still a year away. Florida A&M. I mean, it's going to go down again. I think what's going to happen, whoever wins between Central and A&T, they're going to go to the Celebration Bowl, and just like last year, the loser probably going to end up going to the playoffs, especially if it's A&T again, since they're ranked so high in the FCS polls.
Yeah, actually, I know they're ranked number one in one of those polls, in the Pain and ranked number one in the Pain and box to row. Not Pain, Cavill and box to row polls. So they're ranked number one on those polls.
I'm talking about the what is it? The FCS coaches poll. They're ranked I think they're the last time I checked, they was 12. So I'm not sure. They might be 10 or 12, one of those two. The last time I checked, they were number 12. So as long as they keep winning.
Who was that?
A&T.
Yeah, they were. I think they were 10, and who else was? Well, I think it was a battle between them and Grambling. Like Grambling was one, like 10 or 12, and then A&T was the other. So if one was 10, the other was 2. Like it was like it was like 16 and 10 or something. But yeah, they were, from week to week, they're still progressing. And this is one of the things that, everybody watches, Jay Walker. Everybody jokes about how he never gets it right. But in my opinion, when he named them the number 1 for his top 5, this week he got it right.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Give me 5. All right, jumping over to.
we know he heavily biased.
To the MEAC.
We know he's very biased, but this time he actually got it right. But but even Central has a whole. I can't think of what it is, but they've beaten FAMU. Like the series are just like some of these series are just crazy. They're just out of control. But I'm going to tell you what was a great game yesterday, though. Tennessee State, as at Eastern Illinois, it wasn't. I think they didn't lose by that much because when I actually caught part of it, my nephew was at that game. It was like 10-7.
They lost 19-16 to Eastern Illinois in double overtime.
Yeah, because when I checked in on the score, it was. I think Eastern Illinois. It was a 3-point lead, I believe.
Yeah, 10-7 when I checked in. Yeah. So
John Merritt
once again, Coach Reed, they've done their thing. So we'll see.
All right, and jumping over to the SIAC, Tuskegee defeated Lane 28-23. Morehouse defeated Kentucky State 31-21. We already talked about Grambling versus Clark. Albany State blows out Miles 34-9. We already talked about Sutter versus Fort Valley. Benedict defeats Central State 21-11. This battle for the SIAC, comes down to right now. Morehouse is leading the East, but they're tied with Albany State, Clark, and Morehouse all are undefeated. Morehouse at 1-0, Albany at 2-0, Clark Atlanta at 1-0. Benedict is at 1-1, and Fort Valley State, of course, is at 1-0. Still early in the season in the SIAC. Tuskegee sits atop of the West at 2-0. Kentucky State at 1-1. Lane, Miles, and Central State all 0-2, 0-1, and 0-2 respectively. Who do you all? I know it's still early in the SIAC. I don't see anybody in the West, taking over Tuskegee. We know Tuskegee has had some offensive problems, but they are still the cream of the crop in the SIAC. The East is going to be hotly contested, I think. What do you guys think?
Definitely going to I'm going to go ahead and give it to Albany State. You can look at what Albany State did in their first 2 weeks. You can look at just looking at what Coach Gabe is going in there doing, and I know in this case a lot of people did not want Coach Gabe because he's not the black coach. But looking at what they've done, I definitely think that it's going to be hands down. It's going to be Albany State taking it for the East. That's just my prediction. And like you said, I think Tuskegee pretty much has the West on up, but I think it's going to be Albany State. The funny thing is talking to those coaches, they like being predicted as last, but I'm going to take Albany State hands down for the East side.
Pat, what do you think? What was that?
I'm saying watch out. So I told people to watch out for Fort Valley State. He would get. Our former quarterback at Valley.
Slade Jarman.
He's the starter now at Fort Valley State, and he would give Southern problems. And what did he do?
Well, he didn't really give Southern problems. The running game gave Southern problems.
His scrambling ability.
Yards.
Yeah, he's a scrambler. He's not deadly accurate with the arm, although he put up numbers.
In the previous game, he threw for over 350 yards.
Yeah, so at that level, he could keep Fort Valley in it. He'll make it interesting. I think, I said, Tuskegee, they got the West, no problem. That East is going to be very, very interesting once we get into the meat of the schedule for that concern. I still think that, like you said, Albany State, I still think they're probably going to win it, but it's not a slam dunk. I mean, as Keisha put it, but I think it's going to, right now, I would say Albany State.
All right. So now we're going to jump over to the CIAA because we're running on the tail end of the show. Run down the scores in the CIAA. Shaw defeats Elizabeth City State 23-17. Charlton defeats Johnson C. Smith 10-7. Bowie State and Fayetteville State were acting like they were playing basketball. Bowie State defeats Fayetteville State 64-31. Second straight week that Bowie State has scored over 60 points. Virginia Union defeats St. Augustine's 28-7. Winston-Salem State blanks Lincoln, Pennsylvania 48-0. And Virginia State defeats Livingstone 56-18. And the standings in the CIAA in football are as follows. Right now, in the Northern Division, you have Bowie State. We got right now have 4 teams undefeated in the Northern Division. Bowie State, Virginia Union, and Chowan all sit at 2-0. We know that's going to be messy as the season progresses. Elizabeth City State is at 1-1. Lincoln, Pennsylvania is at 0-2. In the Southern Division, Winston-Salem State sits at 1-1, along with Shaw and St. Augs. Fayetteville State, Johnson Smith, and Livingstone all sit at 0-2. Kels, you already know who my team is coming out to CIAA, especially in the Northern Division, with them already having a victory over Winston-Salem State. Amir Hall and the Bowie State Bulldogs are going to be my team coming out the North. And in the South, well, I'm going to go for Winston-Salem State to come out the South. What do you think?
I think that's a safe choice. Bowie State is really showing that they are really playing. They're playing sound ball. I mean, like I said, it was early on the season with 34-14 or whatever that win was. I did not expect that type of play between those teams, and I had already capitalized because Winston-Salem State is going on. They're trying to secure championship number 3. So I think Bowie State is going to be a really great team to watch for. So I think it's safe to say Bowie State and Winston-Salem. I think it's safe to say for both of those. I can't disagree there.
Pat, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I seen Bowie State scored. Bowie State, I'm like, wow, maybe that's our next coach at Dallas. Yeah, but speaking to the conversation, yeah, I think Winston-Salem State is the safe pick in the South, and until proven otherwise, I think Bowie State, they're probably going to be the team to beat overall as far as the conference is concerned.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And the last conversation we're going to have for the night, uniforms. Everyone likes to have awesome uniforms. You see the FBS schools with their different uniforms, their different colors, flashy helmets, and things of that nature. At HBCUs, we have decent uniforms. We don't have the flash uniforms like they have. But the maker of our uniforms, Russell Athletic, is getting out of the business of making uniforms for athletic teams. They have 3/4 of the HBCU conferences. Everybody but the MEAC, they make uniforms for. Of course, I don't really pay attention to everybody else's. Gotcha, Kels. I don't really pay attention to everybody else's uniforms, but I have enjoyed the uniforms that have been made for my Delta Devils. Most uniforms have been traditional. You haven't really seen a lot of teams break from tradition. Jackson State over the years have gone back to that block red letters with the JSU inside the helmet, old school uniforms. I can't wait to see who they're going to have that become the new makeup uniforms. Is it going to be Nike? Is it going to be Under Armour? Is it going to be somebody else? I mean, I'm sad to see Russell go, but I mean, they've been losing the market in athletic wear for years. I mean, Nike now makes uniforms for the NFL. I can't remember who makes for the other professional sports, but Russell has been losing ground in the athletic uniform market for years. And I'm guessing they're just saying, hey, we're going to go ahead and get out of this. We're going to let you all fight over these uniforms. So what do you guys think about this uniform change for Russell and how it will affect the HBCUs that make uniforms for?
A lot of people are glad, in my opinion, or a lot of people did not like the Russell situation. Honestly, without saying and going into deep detail about it, I'm honestly not mad about it. If the situation had worked out the way it was supposed to, with the uniform company and the commissioner and the whole contract, it would have probably been better. We actually were making money off of it. Like, it was a certain percentage that was supposed to go towards the school. So we all know, the three of us all know, that things don't always go. Money's always mishandled. So, I'm interested to see where we're going to go next. Because from what I'm understanding, the apparel deals that we were offered from other companies, it just wasn't in the best interest. And from my understanding, Russell was the best one we got. So we'll see. Because sometimes people just look at names and they just get excited. Bigger isn't always better. Mm-hmm. So if you're not getting anything on the return, it's really not a good thing. So
exactly. Pat?
Yeah, we've been discussing this on the other page for like years. As far as the page, I'm thinking a lot of people talk about the quality of Russell, but the uniform for free. I mean, free is that?
That's right.
Free is that?
That's right.
Free is the words of Latangela Faye. Something about free motivates me.
Yeah, and I think people are looking at the names of Nike and Adidas and Under Armour, and they're getting excited, but we're not going to get the same uniforms that Michigan, even though they're with Jordan. We're not going to get what Alabama gets and all those. Like, I look at, I watch a lot of college football. I look at South Florida, since their colors are similar to ours, and I'm not really just, overly impressed with what they're putting out there, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a plain-looking uniform to me. I mean, in my opinion, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I think people just enamored with the name of Under Armour and all that, and people think that once we get with them, the money's just going to start flowing in. I know it's not going to go like that. We're going to have to, I don't know how many uniforms we're going to get, but it's not going to be the same type of deal. We're going to probably end up getting discounted as far as the uniform we can get, but it's not going to be free.
Right. So instead of getting a free uniform, now we're going to have to pay for the uniform. Our athletic budget, not being as high, I guess we'll have to see how that goes. I mean, I guess you can let me know how that, when you hear a word on this, let us know. I'm thankful that you called in. But Kels, go ahead.
I think one of the things that we just tend to not talk about, one of the things that we tend not to talk about, that we don't talk about, is that's kind of like right now that we're getting away from, and this is how I want to close the show out. There was a segment on HBCU Sports, and you had where we talk about the money games.
Yeah, we
and I've been driving this point home for months. I am so sick of money games. I'm so tired of us being drugged on TV. I'm so tired of them short paying us, but then they want to overpay other people. Prime example, you want to pay Troy $985,000, and then you get an L. I think that if we're going to take money games, we're going to have to level up. Okay, you want to embarrass me? I need more than $685,000. Why y'all can't give us almost $1 million? And they're getting ready to cut these money games out. And
right.
You had Devon Gales that talked about these money games, because what happens is after they suffer from the money games, you have these teams trying to smooth this crap over, acting like it's no big deal. We can pay for it. Yeah. But when you face the situation of you may not walk again, you may not be able to play a sport again, I think it's a sad situation when you have these dominant teams. And what's happening is with these teams, now they're ending up not wanting to play us anymore because they know we're coming out with the W in the column and they're coming out with the L. So what do y'all think?
Well, it also has to do with the new playoff system. It hurts them, especially if they have a poor performance against an HBCU squad. But here's the thing. Will we ever be in a position where we can actually defeat or stay with a team that has the chance to play for the national championship. Yeah, we can beat the group of 5 squads. Grambling had Power 5 Arizona on the ropes last year, but Arizona was no threat to win the national championship. It still would have been great for the HBCU football world, but I agree with you. I don't really like the money games. We know that they're needed, but I don't want to see other players get hurt like Devin. I don't want to see players impacted to the point to where they may a loss like that could really demoralize you. Even if you get beat in your conference, you still have a chance to potentially compete. But playing, I guess you can say, a few years ago, Mississippi State played against Jackson State. They played against Alcorn, and they just wiped the floor with them. And I was like, please don't let them play my Delta Devils, because at that time we were getting the floor wiped with us by Alcorn and Jackson State. So we know what Mississippi State would potentially do to us. We probably wouldn't get a first down at all. The money is good, but there has to be a better way to find ways to make money, because you're putting your athletes at risk. Devin Gales can no longer play football anymore. Man, his life has been altered beyond repair, all for a game check that Southern could not help him with as far as with his expenses. Georgia stepped in and has been helping him with them expenses. How would it have been if, I don't know if he had an insurance policy or anything like that, but thankful that Georgia has stepped in to aid in those expenses. HBCUs already have athletic budgets that are, not the highest. So when you're having to pay for care for a student injured in a game that you went to go play to get paid, I mean, you got to look at do the ends really justify the means? I mean, I understand money games don't need to help our athletic budgets, but when you're putting players' safety on the line, I mean, to me, it kind of looks like Gladiator. You know what I'm saying? The Gladiator fighting, and we all know that wasn't a good sight. You know what I mean?
Right.
Pat, what do you think?
This all up. You know how much I be arguing with the Valley alums and stuff like this. As far as if you don't want to see Valley get kicked to sleep by North Dakota State and the schools like that. I mean, we actually played Eastern Michigan better than we did North Dakota State, but my honest opinion, Georgia, when Southern played Georgia, they were ranked. We have no business playing anybody in the top 50. I don't want to see Alabama and Ole Miss. They ain't going to play no HBCUs anyway. They don't play HBCUs at all. But we have no business playing any schools in the top 50 because I don't care. 70-something to nothing, and that's
right.
Not worth it. Yeah.
It's not.
600,000 is not. We should be.
It's not, because you face the change. You face the possibility of the situation of Javon Gales. You face the situation that could happen, and it's happened in more instances than one. Like you said, anybody that's in the top 50, we have no business. Don't use us as a schedule filler. But see, like I said, what's going to happen is you get the upsets like the UNLV and the Howard. You get the Kent and the North Carolina A&T, and they start seeing this, and they're going to stop scheduling us because, see, we're not supposed to beat them. But that's another story for another day. And we are at that time mark. I am making my way to the Bayou of Baton Rouge to join Derek as we cover homecoming from the yard of Southern University.
On the bluff.
Can my Southern University Jaguars secure the W against Alabama A&M, or will James Spady and the Bulldogs come in and upset Coach Odom's at Mumford Stadium? I don't know. Derek, what else you got?
Is it going to be a spoiled gallon of milk for Southern next week? That's all I have. Make sure y'all tune in next week for another episode of Black College Experience on Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be going over Southern's homecoming and the rest of the HBCU sports action of the weekend and the week. Chaos, go ahead and close us out.
All right, make sure once again, y'all catch us next week. We have some upcoming things. We have, like I said, we got a bunch of interesting things coming up. Leading into next week, we're gonna be. I don't think we have a guest next week, but leading into the homecoming of Morris Brown. Once again, we do have some former athletes that played for Morris Brown, so that's gonna date me. That's gonna date them, but make sure you stay tuned, and all that information will be on the page. Follow us on Twitter, Black College EXP. We're on Instagram, Black College Experience, and then, of course, like our Facebook page, Black College Experience. That's our time. We'll see you next week, and I'll be in the Bayou on Friday. Good night, folks.
Good night. Peace out.
Shutterstock Music.